I've watched the movie and I really liked it. And my first question
Thank you.
is, where did the influence of merengue and salsa come from? And also Colombia.
Well, they come from my life basically because it happened to me to live with a Colombian guy who was studying at my same film school. Um, and then we were a flatmate and we lived together for 5 years. And when the film school ended, he got back to Colombia. And I visited him once, and then I started traveling alone in Colombia for like a couple of months. And it was well, a big discovery for me. I got fond of the country and the culture, of course. And then I met a girl in Colombia. She came to Italy for a while. We had a love story, and things in life got mixed very easily with what you're writing at the moment and what you're working on.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I had already started like to write on this much personal story I wanted to make my second feature film about, and regarding the relationship with my mother. And so the two things got mixed, and that's how Colombia at first, and then salsa dancing came into the movie.
Mhm. Great. And is there something as director you're most proud of in this movie? Something you achieved or
Uh, I'm proud of the swingings of the mood of the characters, the way the mood of some characters within a sequence, within a scene, or uh, between a couple of scene swings, like in real life,
Mhm.
reason that you can understand, but at the same time stay ambiguous. And that's something that, like, there are a few moments in the movie that when I watched it, I think, oh yeah, I recognize that change of mood, and it
Mhm.
seems real to me.
Yeah, it is. That's also I noticed this also, and I thought it was really beautiful done. Um, is like the process with the actors and the writing process. How did it go? Did the actors were in it from the beginning, or did they come later in the process, or how did you do it?
Well, Eduardo, the guy who is playing Julio Cesar, he was there from the beginning, meaning it's uh it's a character that I wrote for him.
Hmm.
At the beginning, we were almost writing together. Then it was like just me following the writing process, but he was there all the time in my mind. He read every version of the script, so it was really involved, and I literally could couldn't imagine anyone else on that character. And it's not exactly the same, but for different reasons. Also, the other actors were involved much before the shooting, let's say.
Hmm.
uh, Margarita, that friend of mine, Daniel Mejia, he started talking to me about her from the first time he wrote the script. And so for a few years I was just watching her stuff on YouTube, some other movies she did. I had her in my mind, even if we never met.
Hmm.
And it was not certain that she could do the movie because she's quite a star in Colombia. But at least for like 2, 3 years, I wrote a character thinking about her without that she even knew. And then when I approached her, we started working together. She was enthusiastic. She started learning Italian because she didn't speak any Italian before. And the pandemic came, and so everything stopped. And so even her, she had a lot of time to work on the language and on the character before we met for the first time, actually.
Hmm.
It was the case for her. It was the case for Maria, who's playing Ines. So every actor had a lot of time and had an unusual time to work on their characters.
Yeah.
And the character of Lucio, Gabriel Montesi, it was written for somebody like 50 years old, but then I met in a TV series that I was doing in Italy, and we established like a strong connection. And so I told myself, okay, I'm gonna change this character for him. So you can feel that there is a very strong attachment between the character and the actress, because I adapted the characters a lot to them, a lot.
Yeah, it's well done, I think. And are there any obstacles that you've encountered during your process of writing and shooting, and maybe in post-production even?
Well, there were many on different levels. The first one was I took a long time to understand exactly what I wanted to talk about, because the idea of the ashes, it was there from the beginning, but at the beginning the film was much less intimate. There was no much space for the relation between the son and the mother. It was much more an adventure film, let's say. The trip was much bigger in the film. And so it was a long process to understand that the core of the film was that love story between him and his mother. And so that was, sort of a personal psychological issues to face for me at the first time. And then it was very complicated to finance the film, because it's kind of tough at some moment, and it might be the producers were thinking that most of the audience would reject it, even though later on we found that it's a pretty open film for the audience, because it's emotional. I guess it's kind of universal in the way it touches certain themes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very complicated to finance it. It took it like almost 7 years to have it done. And most of the problem was financing the film. And then pandemic came, and that was, at least another year and a half of delay, especially because the Colombian part was still much longer. And so, if a lot of movies were made during the pandemic, but within the country. So it was much more complicated to imagine to travel with a crew to another continent. And so that was the reason we had to face this very last obstacle.
Yeah, well, it sounds really
Yeah.
tough and a lot of work. And is there a certain message you want to send into the world, or especially to the Belgian audience, because your film will be screening on our festival?
Well, a message to the world, I think it's too much for me.
Mm,
What I try to convey, I do it with my movie, and with the ending of the movie, with the that I didn't want to make it too how can I say? I want to keep it open at some time, so that somebody may see it, as a goodbye, with a lot of acceptance in it, meaning the character of the son is finally accepting the kind of relation he had with his mother. Someone else could, see it as if he's damned for his own life, and is never gonna be free from her, which might be true at the same time. And what I really love is that kind of complexity and an ambiguity, because two very different things can be true at the same time, depending on the point of view, depending on your approach of life. And so what I try to do with this film and with my work in general, I think, is like to warn the people about the complexity of life, which could be something in politics, which could be in the relation with your own family, which could be in many different aspects of our life. And so to keep focus on the whole complexity of things and the ambiguity of things, and to avoid simple answers.
yeah, beautiful. Then I have a more personal question. What do you have a favorite film or a style you look up to, and that maybe are also influenced in your work, not especially in this film. Yeah.
Well, I do have a lot of films and directors and of course also art and books that inspires me a lot. But for example, one thing that I would like to mention, because it's not just inspiration, but it was like actually important. Like within the directors of the last decade, Pablo Larraín is someone really inspiring to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this movie was inspired a lot by Tony Manero.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I mentioned him specifically is because he also had a role in this movie, because we happen to we get to know each other when I was really starting to write the script, and I told him the story, and he was enthusiastic, and we talked like for a couple of days about it. He was presenting a film in Rome, and so that really gave me, some really good encouragement to go on with that story. And many years later, I asked him if he could help me to get a track from Nicolas Jarre, which is in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then we happened to be together in Venice, and we had the same prize in two different sections for the best script. And so, that was a very, very sweet and for me, again, inspiring way, of following the path of this film with a director that I really admire, and that he was close to me at some point within the process. And so it's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there a film? Because yeah, Italian film, Colombian film, and Belgian film are three really different styles, and each have their own yeah, advantage, and it's all beautiful. But do you think there's a film from Italy or Colombia that the Belgian audience should see to get more integrated in it, or to yeah.
Well, from Colombia, I can mention a film that is kind of famous, so probably many people watched it, even though it didn't have he had a worldwide recognition because he was nominee at the Oscar. It's called El Abrazo de la Serpiente, so The Hug of the Snake.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Colombian film from 2010 or something like that. A wonderful story in black and white about a shaman, an old shaman who forgot how to retrieve ayahuasca in the Amazon. It's a wonderful film, but there are many even less known, very beautiful Colombian films that I got in touch with during the process. And about Italian movies, what can I say? But it's complicated because it's the movies of
There's so much, yeah.
friends, it's the movies that I grew up with. Um, well, give me a second.
Take your
Uh,
time.
well, actually, well, I love. It's not an Italian movie, but it came to my mind. But I
Mhm.
love a director who's named Pietro Marcello. He did Martin Eden, who's a beautiful movie, and then he did a movie in France. Uh, so it's a French movie from an Italian director that I really loved. Um, Les Voiles Rouges. Je crois que
Mhm.
ça comme ça, mais je suis pas sûr en
Mhm.
français. Uh, yeah, really, there are so many that it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, Italian film history
I
is.
feel that I feel that Italian cinema nowadays is experiencing a very positive moment,
Mhm.
uh, much more interesting than 15 years ago, maybe. Not only my generation, but also the generation before us. It's really much more audacious and brave than it was before. And it's also opening to the international audience much more. If you think of directors like him, like Alicia Rohrwacher, it's really, we're doing movies that are really strong in the relation with the Italian cultural heritage, but at the same time they can speak to anybody, I think.
Yeah, it's beautifully said. Then I have one last question because our time is running out.
Yeah.
But if you could invite one guest to your dream dinner party, who would it be?
It's complicated because at the same time it arrives to me like basketball players. Like I would invite Michael Jordan to my dream dinner party, and then directors. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
invite Martin Scorsese. But then I
Mhm.
said, but fuck, why do I should why should I invite them? They don't even know
Yeah.
me. You know? So maybe I would invite like some friend that I don't see from a long time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
in Belgium, I would invite a friend of mine, Matthias Schoenertz, that
Oh,
I don't see
yeah.
for a
Yeah.
few years, and I hope
Wow.
to
You worked
see
with him?
him again. And so, yeah, since you are screening it in Belgium, like
Mhm.
Matthias, that I would invite.
Wow, cool. Yeah, but I didn't understand quite well, but did you work with him or how did you guys meet?
Yeah, we did a TV series together. It's called Django,
Mm-hmm.
like a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
years ago. Yeah.
Really cool. Okay, Matthias Schoenaerts, it is. Okay, then we have to round up because we're on our 20 minutes. But it
Okay.
was really great talking to you and thank you for this great Q&A. And I hope the audience loves it as much as I did.